Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that takes the lead in today's edition for Wednesday, 26th February 2025, and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group. CDEMA's importance must be recognized ahead of and not only in times of disaster. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. A call is being made for countries in the region to honor their commitment to the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, CDEMA. The appeal is coming from Barbados' Minister of Home Affairs and Information, Wilfred Abrams. He says while it is difficult to get CARICOM states to meet their financial commitments to CDEMA, they only recognize the importance of the organization when they need to use its services. He was addressing the opening after the action review for emergency events for 2024 and consultation on building the next level regional mechanism forum.
Following an event when CDEMA had to step up to the plate and provide their services well, a leader of a CARICOM country made a promise that they would never fall behind in their payments to CDEMA again. But that was because when they had reason to call upon CDEMA, CDEMA stepped up and delivered. And they then understood what CDEMA and the RRM were there for. It should not take you having to be impacted to do that. The reality, I'm going seriously off script, the reality is not if we can be affected, is when.
Meanwhile, CDEMA's Executive Director, Elizabeth Riley, says amid geographical developments, signals are that some previous financial and technical support arrangements through the United States partnerships are uncertain, and the region has begun to identify migration measures to ensure operational measures.
In true Caribbean spirit, we embrace the current geopolitical shift as an opportunity to accelerate our own ambition, which was articulated in the 2022 strategic plan. And we look forward to deliberations over the next 3 days on refining the definition of and identifying what is required to deliver the next level regional response mechanism.
CARICOM's 25 by 2025 initiative to reduce the regional food import bill has now been extended to 2027. During the 48th CARICOM Heads of Government meeting, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonsalves, said the deadline set was an ambitious one. He says the region had some challenges, which included the COVID-19 pandemic and the eruption of the La Soufrière volcano in his homeland and last year's Hurricane Beryl. However, he says there is a commitment from the Caribbean Development Bank to assist where possible in that regard.
Food production has been affected, fishing has been affected, so you have to deal with that as a practical matter. This is not something you just do by rote. Real flesh and blood people have to plant crops. You plant in your crops in St. Vincent. You plant back. You get production support. But the soil, the chemical composition of the soil because of the volcanic ash. For many crops, that ash affects them adversely. The president of the Caribbean Development Bank, Daniel Bess, speaking to the issue and the role of the CDB and being enthused about dealing with financing for the 25 by 25 project through all the chains, including physical infrastructure like roads and the like. Of course, the president says that they'll have to reform some of their own internal processes. I'm talking about the president of the CDB, in order to be able to disperse funds on a timely basis.
A sudden increase in fatal police shootings has reignited concerns about excessive force and accountability. While authorities insist officers are targeting criminals, human rights advocates warn that Jamaica could be slipping back into a dangerous pattern. In 2024, 19 people were killed by police between January 1st and February 20th. However, fast forward to 2025, and that figure has skyrocketed to 50, an alarming 163% increase over the same period. This surge has reignited long-standing concerns over police accountability, with human rights lobby groups, Jamaicans for Justice (JFJ) and the Independent Commission of Investigations (INDICOM) sounding the alarm. CVM's Shanti McNeil reports.
These numbers paint a troubling picture. In 2024, 19 people were killed by police between January 1 and February 20. But fast forward to 2025, and that figure has skyrocketed to 50, an alarming 163% increase in the comparative period. This surge has reignited long-standing concerns over police accountability, with human rights lobby group Jamaicans for Justice (JFJ) and the Independent Commission of Investigations (INDICOM) sounding the alarm. JFJ Executive Director Michael Jackson warns that if this trend continues, Jamaica could revert to an era where deadly encounters with the police were commonplace.
In 2010, you had over 400 civilians who were killed. Then you look at 2011, high 200s, 2013, 258. If we start computing the numbers about this trend that we see emerging, the point that JFJ is making, we see the possibility, and we were very conservative in saying that we run the risk of having some 250 civilians killed.
She highlights that her major concern is the underuse of the 740-plus body-worn cameras deployed across Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF. She argues that if operations are as strategically planned as the police claim, there should be fewer fatalities, not more. INDICOM Commissioner Hugh Faulkner takes it a step further, insisting that strategic planning should also include measures to avoid unnecessary deaths.
Planned operations are not chance encounters, they are planned. In other words, all the contingencies, if there are injuries, medical necessities, can be considered and planned. The location where the officer is going is planned. The routes they can take to that location is known. In terms of the training, specific training can be done for that particular operation. All the risk assessment, all the strategic planning can be done. Any obstacle, any limitations.
Meanwhile, National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang explains that mandating body-worn cameras isn't as simple as it seems, though efforts are underway to create a centralized system to support their use.
If there's nothing to support them, they have very little value to the system. And if you try to set up an individual silo, it doesn't make sense either. Ultimately, you have to change that. Or if you have a telephone, you look, touch screen, it's whatever you touch on the screen that comes up. You have to have inside of it the brains to make it work. And that's all the C5 is, that we are providing the police with a central point where we can collect the data and make them even more efficient than they are today.
According to INDICOM, 24 JCF officers were charged in 2024, 8 of those cases involving fatal shootings. Shanti McNeil, CVM News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick, in association with our friends at
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Jamaica's Police Commissioner, in the meantime, Dr. Kevin Blake, responds to JCF CVM's Anthony Lugg provides details.
In a release on Thursday, Executive Director of Jamaicans for Justice Michael Jackson said the increase in police fatal shootings has reached an alarming and intolerable level. The JFJ argued that the number is unacceptable in a democracy and is particularly troubling given the country's size. But on Friday, Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake hit back at the human rights group.
To suggest that fatal shooting numbers can be reduced by anything other than the unwillingness of persons being apprehended to engage in deadly confrontation with members of the security forces is irresponsible, or at best, advocating for us to relent in our pursuit. We again reiterate the point that those who seek to kill and maim will not be left free and unobstructed to hold communities at ransom and in constant fear.
As at February 19, there were 50 fatal shootings since the start of 2025, more than double the 19 recorded for the same period last year, representing a 163% increase. The JFJ stopped short of labeling the incidents as extrajudicial killings, pointing to the absence of body-worn camera footage in many of the fatal encounters.
This constant call for there to be more accountability over the JCF is in itself a slap in the face of Indicom. Be reminded that that is their single most important mandate. And let me be absolutely clear, lest I am misunderstood or misquoted. I am a full supporter of what Indicom stands for. An effective Indicom assures me that those among us who believe that they are free to break the law will be held to account and be removed from within our ranks.
Dr. Blake again pointed to data which suggests that thousands are arrested and brought before the courts yearly. He insists, however, challenging the police will not end well for criminals.
When the police come for you, do not raise your weapons against us. Lay down your weapons and have your day in court. But should you choose the foolish option of challenging us with lethal force, know this: I do not train my police to lose. We have the superior training and firepower to ensure that we win every time.
He also issued this appeal to the JFJ.
Yes, we agree. We need to have less fatal shootings. And so I call upon JFJ to demonstrate to the public that your care is more for the well-being of our citizens and less for the relevance of your organization. And it is hard for me to think otherwise when I know JFJ is fully abreast of the facts.
Anthony Lugg, TVJ News.
The Bahamas' Deputy Prime Minister, Chester Cooper, speaks on the environmental checks done in advance of the SpaceX landing. More in this ZNS News item.
Well, ensuring there were no environmental hiccups during SpaceX's historic booster landing here in the Bahamas meant a series of checks and balances, a process that started nearly 2 years ago. On the list, satisfying the Department of Environmental Protection and Planning, responsible for issuing a certificate of environmental clearance. According to Tourism Investments and Aviation Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Chester Cooper, studies were also conducted by BRON, a leading environmental engineering agency. That report was set to be released this past Thursday.
I think what we want to assure the Bahamian people is that we didn't enter this lightly. We were very measured and deliberate in our approach. We recognize that there are still some questions and still some concerns. And over the course of the next week or two, we're going to ensure that we respond to every legitimate concern or question that's raised, particularly by environmentalists. So I believe we are all aligned in terms of our national interest, and the government is always resolute in ensuring that any investor, big or small, anyone performing any activities in the Bahamas, comply with our laws, our rules, our guidelines, and protect our overall well-being and our environment.
A local farmer in Antigua and Barbuda wants residents, including young people, to take the agriculture sector more seriously. ABS's Kim Emmanuel Baird reports.
AgriFest exhibition winner 2025 and the owner of Twin Eye Stud Enterprise, Twin Eye Payne, encourages young people to get involved in agriculture as a profitable business that can benefit many. Payne says he wants to see all schools across the country get involved in agriculture so the next generation can understand the importance of food security and the many rewards involved aside from financial compensation.
Love, not just for the money.
for actually knowing you can produce food for you to eat and share with others. So I want to say, in closing, I want to encourage more young people to get involved in farming. Leave the social media alone. You're not going to get in no way. TikTok, you're not going to get in no way either.
He advises those in authority to bring back the competitive spirit in agriculture as a way to motivate more individuals to develop a love for this sector and become involved.
Try to see how much you can encourage the farmers. As I say, bring back the farmers a year competition. Encourage farmers to go back and plant more food. Get CMCs to start to take food on a large scale. You understand, a market even outside Antigua.
Payne says farmers should only be concerned with producing and supplying food to wholesalers, while establishments such as the Central Market Corporation distribute to outlets. He has this message for the government regarding the use of Diamond's estate.
I'm challenging the agriculture minister with diamonds, I'm asking the government, I don't think sharing up diamond and cutting up diamond is going to be the answer to diamond. I think that diamond needs to get a proper management and produce food.
He says with 120 acres of land at this site, it would add significantly to the country's food security. The government has indicated it will be moving to engage with local farmers to place more lands at Diamonds into production. Reporting for ABS News, this is Kim Emmanuel Baird.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.